You're listening to Two Girls, One Crossword.
The other day I had a little thing for my birthday. And by
Just a
little I
little
mean
something.
extremely tiny. But we played Stray, that new video game.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Wait, I
my-
can't see your microphone. Where is your microphone?
It's next to me. You don't believe me? It's right here. Take a
That
cold,
is
hard look.
Crazy.
You think it's too far? It was fine.
No, I mean, look at me. Mine is like in my face, and yours is over there. So I'm just like, what?
You're
is going
doubting
on?
me.
I am doubting Thomas. That's a religious reference for anybody who didn't get it.
Didn't get what religion?
Doubting Thomas. Isn't he an apostle that doubts Jesus?
I don't know. It's been a while since I went to Sunday school.
It's
I don't know.
crazy.
I've pretty much forgotten all the apostles. As it happens.
I don't know any of the apostles other than like Judas.
I know
God
Judas.
bless his soul. And Thomas, because he was doubtful.
Doubting Thomas is a good name for a cat. However, in video game Stray, you cannot name your cats, and you can't even
No.
pick what your cat looks like. I really thought I could customize him to be a little black cat, but he's still a cute little ginger striped cat, and
true.
you
It's
get
true.
to play him, and you solve a mystery. Of course, well, we didn't get very far in the game, but because we were like farting around too much. However, part 2,
However.
we will finish and solve. First of all, we didn't even know what mystery is going on.
What is the mystery? I feel like he's trying to get out to the outside because he's in like a. It's hard to explain, listeners.
He starts off like frolicking in a meadow, and then he falls into like this dystopian city that's run
And
by
it's
robots.
so sad. He gets separated from all his friends. I think we were all shocked. We all gasped aloud
We did.
when he fell.
Do any of our listeners like to watch people play video games? Because that's Chelsea and I's other dream, is to be like Twitch streamers and just
Yeah.
play video games and have people watch us.
Yeah, so if you're interested in that kind of thing, hopefully you like things like Stray and or like The Sims or
Yeah, I mean, we're talking like we're not talking about Fortnite or anything like that. These are all like
No.
very storyline games.
Yeah.
Fun.
Games that you actually have fun playing, not games
With a
that
group.
make you miserable.
Yeah.
So just let us know. Drop us a line because we're toying with the idea.
If one person asks us, we will do it.
We will do it, seriously. So
No, it's hard to get the setup for. But anyways, that's not our listeners' issue. If people
It
want it, we'll figure out a
isn't.
way.
yes.
Should we? Oh, I guess we should introduce the show.
Oh, hey. Hey there. Welcome to the show. Once again, you're listening to Two Girls, One Crossword, your favorite weekly pod word, Crosscast. I am Chelsea Rowan.
I'm Grace Topinka, and I apologize, this is not us playing a video game. Instead, it is us talking about the crossword every week and teaching each other about trivia topics taken directly from the crossword.
Can you believe it? Yes, you can, because if you've been here long enough, then you know the format of the show. If you have not been here long enough, maybe you still know the format of the show, but
First
whatever,
things
welcome.
first.
Yeah. We're here, and we're ready to talk about
Our
the
Pullapalooza.
poll.
There you go. Okay. So we asked on Twitter, based on last week's episode about Pac-Man, did you know that each Pac-Man ghost has a name and a personality? Well, if you listened last week, then yes, you do know that. But the question was, which one are you? Are you the orange ghost Clyde, who's clueless, the red ghost Blinky, who's relentless, the pink ghost Pinky, who's sneaky, or the blue ghost Inky, who's fickle? And majority voted for Clyde, the clueless one. So, there you go. Second place was fickle. That's Inky. And then no one voted for Blinky or Pinky. So, I guess our listeners aren't
What would you
relentless
have
or
picked?
sneaky, which is nice. I didn't vote, but if I did, I would have been Pinky, I think. Like, okay, if I'm a ghost and I'm like trying to hunt people, I would try and do like just hang around in the area, pretend like I don't know, and then like zoom in for the, capture.
I feel like I would definitely pick the one that was relentless.
Blinky.
Mostly because you get me talking on something and I'm not going to shut up until I start reading like the social cues that people are getting uncomfortable. And then I'm like, oh, I gotta shut up here. But I could keep going. Just know that in those situations where I'm going and going and then I suddenly stop, I could keep going.
That's why it's dangerous.
I'm in fact relentless.
Where it was dangerous for Chelsea to be in the office. The lunch table was like her courtroom.
Yeah, you can't. And honestly, it's one of those things, like you like go out and you're hanging out with friends and you get home and you're like, that was great. And then you're like, wait.
10 minutes later, you're like, did everyone hate me because I said that?
Yeah, that's me after literally every social interaction.
Well,
but I cannot change the fact that I won't shut up. So it is what it is. It's like I have to just deal with it.
I don't think you say anything that's too like outlandish. I mean, like ridiculous, yes, but not mean. Like chaotic.
No.
A chaotic neutral, truly.
Yes, and I don't. It's not the content of what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's the quantity of it.
Sometimes you just give a little too much.
Sometimes I like my mouth. See, I keep going. I'm just going and going on the same topic. I can't just shut up. All right, let's move on.
Let's just shut up and get into hits and shit, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Are you drinking a coffee at this hour?
A tea, a breakfast tea, because it has been a bonkers work week. And it's only going to continue into tomorrow. We're recording on a Thursday, as most of our loyal fans know. So tomorrow's Friday. And, Friday is treat yourself day. Matt and I will, get up. We take the dog to daycare. We stop at Dunk's, get our little iced coffee. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that tomorrow because I'm going to start work early. It's just been one of those weeks. I'm not somebody who works too much. I have boundaries with work, except this is like one of those weeks where
sometimes you got to do it. Well, I really hope you can get a treat. My treat day is usually Tuesday, but we actually switched to Friday this week because of the
that's cute.
Shorter week. So I will also be getting a treat tomorrow, and I hope that
nice.
You do too.
Yeah, I'm sure Matt will get me a treat because he's the best, but
part of the treat is like going out to get it.
I know. It's like being in the drive-thru. It's like being handed the drink.
I walked to get
having
my
it
treat,
in the car,
and I have to walk home balancing like 2 refreshers.
Well, we're doing it because we're dropping our dog off.
Yeah.
It's different.
It's different.
We would have walked if we didn't have a dog that's crazy, but that's besides the point. He's not actually crazy. Anyway, let's move on. Hits and shits. Somebody take this microwave.
Stop her. I'll stop you.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the Sunday Washington Post by Evan Bernholz, college admissions.
Okay.
2 down. Shout out to you. Blank of mirrors. Room at Versailles. Hall of mirrors.
Oh.
I knew that thanks to you, and I probably would have known that before. Because I don't care about the French. Okay. 18 down.
She hates the French.
I don't, but some people are like really into French culture, and I never caught that bug.
I
know you did.
Definitely had it.
Yeah.
So
I could just imagine you in a striped shirt.
Listen, I was wearing stripes. The only type of shirt that I owned was striped for a while, and all different, like, t-shirt, a nice blouse, like every type of, like a sweater, every type of striped, white and blue. It's like very Breton like vibes. That was me in college. So
I love
Grace,
that for you.
Thank you. You hit the nail on the head with that one.
And that's not a bad thing, but it just wasn't.
No, it's just who I was.
Okay. 18 down. Kills as a dragon or in a show. And the answer was slays.
Slay. Very cute.
45 down. Blank stone. Rock said to have inspired the phrase "Kiss me, I'm Irish." And it's the Blarney Stone, and I know that people kiss the Blarney Stone, but I didn't realize that's where the phrase "Kiss me, I'm Irish"
I didn't realize either. Have you kissed the Blarney Stone?
I don't know. Where is it? Where? I know it's in Ireland.
In Blarney.
Okay, then no.
Oh, I kissed it. It's effing weird. So it's like in a castle.
I've seen pictures of people kissing it. They're like upside down, hanging over.
Yeah, you got to climb up to the top of a castle, and I am afraid of heights. Let me tell you, I am afraid of heights. I actually had a dream the other night where me and Alex were on the top of my apartment building, but my apartment building was like 74 flights high, and she wanted to go out onto the roof, and I literally couldn't even step outside because it was so windy, and I was so nervous. I was like, Alex, get inside. I meant to tell you guys about this. Anyway, I'm so afraid of heights that I have nightmares about them. Anyway, so I had to climb to the top of this tower. You get there, and there is an attendant like that basically helps you back bend, hold these poles, and then smooch the stone. And this man, it seems like he has literally never left his spot next to the Blarney Stone for like the last 50 or 60 years. Mm-hmm. And he is honking women over his knee to get them back bending and kissing that stone. And I just want to say that man is doing God's work. I hope he's still there. So
I just don't feel like I could it's a little gross to me to kiss the stone that all these people have been kissing.
Now it is. Yeah, I wonder if Blarney's open.
Use like a dental dam.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
26 across, work for a company, question mark. And the answer was opera.
Cute. I like that.
66 down, primary concern, question mark. And the answer was smear. Like a smear campaign.
Yes.
82 across, Futurama character in a pink sweatsuit. Amy Wong. I just like that they had her in there.
Mm.
And then
You
93.
like Futurama?
Huh?
You like Futurama?
I know it enough, but I'm not like someone who's watched every episode.
Matt's big into Futurama, and I don't think he has anybody to talk about it to. So
I don't think I'm that person.
I
Sorry.
I won't say a thing.
Do not say a word. 93 across, long TikTok video duration on average, and the answer is minute. A minute is really too long for a TikTok. Chelsea, 90 is we're like 10 seconds and then keep it moving.
If you do not get my attention, I am swiping. And like the 3-minute TikToks, y'all got me. No. I'm sorry. Unless it's something I'm like obsessed with, it's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it moving. Do a couple. I'd rather do 3 1-minute parts than one. Anyway,
agreed. I agree.
3-minute vid.
That's all I got for that one.
Okay. I'm gonna start with the Monday, September 5th, New Yorker by Brooke Cusick. 18 across, gift that many don't accept for short. ESP. Which
that's funny.
Yeah,
I accept it.
I think we accept it here, but other people don't. 32 across, cosmetic ripoff, question mark.
Wax strip?
Poor strip.
Cute.
Isn't that cute? And then, of course, I had to shout this one out. 52 across, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And the answer is air signs, of course. We are the worst signs of the zodiac. Verified.
You heard it here first.
But that's what makes us the coolest. And then 22 down, virtual companions who might partake of a free omelet. I didn't know what this was, and then I filled it in, and it brought back such like a visceral memory. Neopet.
They would eat omelets? Oh, I did.
Yeah, I
remember.
think so.
I didn't know what an omelet was when I was
Yes.
playing Neopets. I just like that's what they ate.
Yes, and I think like I wish I could go back and play Neopets the way Neopets used to be and see if like I understood it more, because I feel like I was just clicking around on the website without really understanding what in the goddamn hell I was actually doing. I loved the mini games, but I didn't understand much more than that.
Same. I just wanted to like collect as many cute pets as possible.
Exactly. That's all I got from that one. What else you got?
What about the Monday New York Times by Adam Simpson?
Didn't do it.
Well, this is kind of a shit, but not really. Just want to throw it out there. 24 across, vaping apparatus informally. And the answer is e-cig. Do you feel like now people say e-cig or everyone just says pen? Like pens? Or vapes?
Yeah, pens or vapes, and I think like when you walk into a smoke shop, they would probably say like vape or battery.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't like. I feel like people shy away from e-cig because they don't want to be associated with cigarettes. And also a lot of like vaping nowadays is not just nicotine products. So just to say.
Sorry, Adam Simpson. That's all I had for Monday. It was a fine puzzle, but that's just the one that jumped out at me.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to talk about these things because if the conversations don't happen, then change will never happen.
Exactly.
Okay?
Well, I'll pivot and talk about the Tuesday New Yorker by Natan Last.
Yes.
A lot of good ones in here.
Really good ones.
13 down, where casts may get plastered. And the answer was rap parties.
Yes. Oh my God. Did you go to rap parties?
No, I wasn't in theatre because I was too shy. I know. Trust me. It's like my biggest regret.
Yeah. I was in theater until 8th grade. And then when I went to high school, I didn't do theater because I thought it was for the nerds. And then by the time I was a senior, I had regretted that I didn't do theater.
Yeah. Kids, if you're out there, do theater.
Do theater.
8 down, majority rules, question mark. And the answer was age limits.
Yes.
1 across, special creators, question mark. Chefs.
Yep.
18 across, one's getting bucks for their bang. I thought it was going to be like Deer Hunter, but it was porn stars.
So good. It was so good. I had that too.
And then this was something I'd never heard before. 36 across, like blank, quickly in British slang. And it's like Billy O.
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
I never heard of that. Wasn't Pip also in that puzzle?
Yes, it was.
Just more British slang.
These
Keep
Brits, they're
it coming.
taking over.
They're taking over. Speaking of Brits, I guess we have to memorialize the Queen died today.
Yeah.
On the day of our recording. And this will go down in history as the second most important thing to happen on this day is the recording of this podcast. Also from that Natan last puzzle was 14 across. Watch a boxer say.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is dog sit. And Matt's family, his sister, had a beautiful boxer named Sophie. And she recently passed away.
I didn't know that she died.
Yeah.
That's sad.
It was kind of sudden. And she was older. She died in 2021. So not like recent, but like recent in the grand scheme of like
of life, of the planet, yeah.
Of the universe. Yeah, exactly. That was a good one. I also liked 19 down from this puzzle. Throwing things out. Spitballing. I loved it. So good. I'm gonna keep us on the New Yorker path here. I'm gonna move us over to the Wednesday, September 7th, New Yorker by Eric Agard.
Mm-hmm.
I loved 24 across. Quote, "You actually think I'm with you on this? Question mark. And the answer was, who's we?
Mm-hmm.
I fucking loved that. It was so good. And then 9 down, facial recognition report? Question mark. I know that look. So good.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a ton of our topics in this puzzle. So shout out to Eric. We know that he has listened to our podcast occasionally in the past, and it always stresses us out because we love his puzzles. But it's also very exciting when he writes to us. But a ton of our topics showed up in his puzzle this week, so I want to call them out. And I'm plugging us, even though I know you're already listening. But if you listen to this podcast, you will learn stuff that will, again, show up in puzzles, and then you'll be able to like answer puzzles more easily. Okay?
That's the whole point.
That's the whole goddamn point. 29 across, Great Lake that contains Saginaw Bay. The answer was Huron.
Mm-hmm.
And you can listen to episode 3, 5 Rings and 5 Lakes, to learn about the Great Lakes. 57 across, June birthstone. The answer was Pearl. And you can listen to episode 81, A House of Another Color, to learn about birthstones. 59 across, Storied Loch. And the answer was Ness. And you can listen to episode 56 called Blue-Eyed Monster to learn about the Loch Ness Monster. And then 1 down, Hakuho shows sport, and the answer is sumo. And Grace talked about sumo in episode 74, Growing Pains. And then lastly, 10 down, burnt blank, reddish brown shade, and the answer is sienna, so burnt sienna. And if you're interested in the history of Crayola, listen to episode 131, Luck of the Drawing. So like a ton of our topics showed up in this puzzle.
Coincidence?
So, maybe not. It's for Eric to know and for us to wonder desperately.
I have some from the Wednesday, September 7th, New York Times by Akua Ewul. If anyone knows how to pronounce their name, please let me know.
And it was a debut, I believe.
Oh, this is a debut. Okay.
Yeah. So a debut is when, as it sounds, it's like the first time a certain person is having their puzzle appear in a particular outlet. So it's Akua's debut in the New York Times. So congratulations.
There are a lot of fun ones in here. 37 down, chocolate confection that melts before you eat it. A lava cake.
Cute. I
30...
love lava cakes.
I know, me too. 36 down, long time soda slogan. Do the do. And then speaking of our topics, there was 47 down, like Legos originally. Danish. We did a Lego episode.
There you go.
And then 56 down, director Craven. Wes Craven. Also did a Wes Craven episode.
Wow.
But I liked the theme of this. This is interesting. This is a debut puzzle because the theme basically throughout the puzzle, some across clues. They started 16 across, newbie crossword solvers thought on a Monday. And the answer is, I've got this. Because, the puzzle gets harder throughout the week if you don't know. Mm-hmm. Then 23 across, newbie crossword solvers thought on a Tuesday. Wish me luck. 35 across, newbie crossword solvers thought on a Wednesday. I'd like some hints. 50 across, newbie crossword solvers thought on a Thursday, what in the hell? And then 58 across, newbie crossword solvers thought on a Friday, Google time.
Yes. Yes, and they didn't do Saturday, but Saturday is known as the Saturday Stumper. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people assume that Sundays are the hardest puzzle because they're larger. Sundays are the largest puzzle, but they're supposed to be more like a weekend reset. I think it's more like a Wednesday level
vibe.
difficulty. Yeah. But that was such a fun puzzle. I just want to say, I love when I see this in a puzzle, one across, before, poetically, and the answer is air, E-R-E. It's crossword easy, you see it all the time. It's nothing really too exciting. But when I was in college, I was obsessed with the poem, The Lady of Shalott by Tennyson.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I hear air, I think of a specific verse from the poem. And I had a huge chunk of this poem memorized because it was one of my fixations in college.
It was on your striped shirt era.
Yes. But the particular section of this poem that I recall is when the Lady of Shalott dies, and it's ere she reached upon the tide, the first house by the waterside, singing in her song she died, the Lady of Shalott. And it's gorgeous. The whole puzzle, or the whole poem is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
But just to say, keep putting that word in there because it reminds me of that poem.
Reminds her of a simpler time.
It does. Back when I was in my striped shirts and reading Brit Lit and thinking I had the world in my palm, the palm of my hand.
There you go.
Now I have it in the palm of my foot.
Your soul.
My soul, S-O-L-E.
Yep. Well, that's all I got.
Yeah, I think that's all I got too.
All right, let's flip the coin.
We're flipping the coin now. Heads.
That's you once again. Seems rigged.
It's me, baby. Alrighty, my topic comes from the Monday, September 5th New Yorker by Brooke Cusick. 49 across. Martial art whose name is formed from the kanji for harmony, spirit, and way.
What is it?
The answer is Aikido.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about Aikido today. If you don't know what Aikido is a modern Japanese martial arts. And there is many different styles of Aikido. I'm not going to be able to go through all of them, but Aikido is the original and has since kind of like broken off into different subsets of Aikido.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get into their names because there's a lot of them, but let's just talk a little bit about Aikido. The word Aikido is formed from 3 kanji. I, meaning harmony and unifying, Ki, meaning energy and spirit, and Do, meaning way or path. So the literal interpretation of the word Aikido is way of combining forces or way of unifying energy. Aikido as a martial art was founded by a man named Ushiba Morihei. Ushiba is the family name. Morihei is the first name. In the early 20th century. Ushiba's life was very long and very storied, and there's literally no way I can cover every aspect of it. There are tons of biographies on this guy. His story is long and complicated. We'll touch a little bit on that in a bit because it's important regardless. Ushiba was born on December 14th, 1883, to father Yiroku and mother Yuki. He lived a rather privileged life for the time. His dad was a wealthy gentleman farmer and a minor politician, and his mother was from a prominent local family, the Itakawa clan. Ushiba was a sickly child. He preferred staying indoors to read books and to study. He loved listening to legends about the saints and was interested in Buddhism. To counteract his son's daydreaming, Yiroku told Ushiba tales of his great-grandfather named Kichiman, who was said to be one of the strongest samurai of his day. His father also encouraged him to study sumo wrestling and swimming. Ushiba had a varied education as a young boy. He studied everything from Confucianism, Buddhism, and accountancy. Wow. Shout out to the other accountant here.
We have so much in common.
Right? After completing his schooling, he took on several jobs, but none of them seemed to be the right fit, and they all seemed to disillusion him. He just didn't want to be a merchant, like his dad, for instance, or a politician. In 1903, he joined the military, and he served on the front lines of the Russo-Japanese War and was discharged in 1907. Throughout these years of his life, he was actively training in many martial arts forms under renowned martial artists of the time. Some forms of martial arts that he learned, and God help me for these pronunciations, Kito Ryu Jiu-Jitsu, that's one. Gato Ha, Yagu Ryu, that's two. And Judo.
Okay.
In some of these martial arts forms, he was actually awarded certificates of total transmission, which is a way of the master of that martial arts to say, hey, you're so qualified and skilled in this, you are now able to teach it as well, if you would so like to disseminate this information. The most important martial art master that Ushiba studied under was Takeda Sokaku, who was the founder of a martial art form called Daito Ryu Aiki Jiu-Jitsu. Ushiba met Takeda in 1915 and was deeply impressed with Takeda's martial art and began studying his style of jiu-jitsu, going so far as to invite Takeda to move in with his family and become a permanent house guest. So he loved this guy's martial arts. He was like, move in and I'll teach. Well, I'll learn under you. And in 1922, Ushiba received a certificate of transmission from his master, which is essentially a teaching license. And then he went on to tour with his master as a teaching assistant, and he taught this system of martial arts to others. Then in 1920, Ushiba became a full-time student of the Amoto Kyoi religion, which is considered a new Japanese religion originating from Shinto. And he moved his entire family, including his mother, to the Amato compound. Aside from inventing a new martial art form, his joining of the Amato religion is probably the most important choice of his life. And I would, in my personal opinion, probably not the best choice he ever fucking made. Anyway, Amato Kyoi is a neo-Shinto religion, but it's also a far-right, ultra-nationalist group.
Okay.
The main goal of Amato Kyoi is the unification of all humanity in a single, quote, heavenly kingdom on earth, where all religions would be united under the banner of Amato Kyoi. But the caveat is that Amato Kyoi's worldview of peace, wanting world peace, is that of a benevolent dictatorship by the Emperor of Japan specifically, with all other nations being subjugated under Japanese rule.
Okay.
And yes, Ushiba deeply believed that the best thing for Japan and the world was for everybody to be a subject under a literal dictator. Anyway, so there is a great 3-part article series on this exact subject. It's titled How War and Religion Shaped Modern Aikido by Stanley Pranin, and you can read it on Aikido Today. I'll share the link in the episode description. I have to flag this because Ushiba was very, very, very close with the founder of Amato Kyoi, a man named Onisaburo Deguchi, and he was friends and very close with this man his entire life, as well as many other Japanese far-right nationalists, and Ushiba's founding of Aikido is directly related to his religious and political beliefs. You can't have Aikido without having all the other stuff, okay? So I'm going to read a quote from the article. Quote, "The doctrine and religious text of the Emoto played a great role in shaping Ushiba's spiritual beliefs. He regarded Onisaburo as his spiritual master and was extremely devoted to the causes that Deguchi espoused. Here is where serious problems emerge. Not only was Onisaburo focused on expanding the activities of the sect and looking after the believers, he frequently provoked the Japanese government and engaged in politics and intrigue. Onisaburo, too, was very well connected and conspired with a number of ultranationalist figures of the day to advance his religious agenda. This played into the hands of the key right-wing leaders, especially those engaged in political and military activities in northern China. These kinds of activities placed the Emoto on the government's radar and led to its brutal suppression on 2 occasions in 1921 and 1935. The latter event effectively crushed the religion and had devastating effect on Morihei both professionally and privately." So, while I'm talking about the rest of Ushiba's life, he is BFFs with the leader of this ultra-nationalist, far-right, political, religious sect.
Okay.
Okay? So just keep that in mind. And the the beliefs that he had in this religion
Mm-hmm.
would inform his teachings of Aikido. And Aikido is still taught today, and we could go to take some Aikido lessons right now if we wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And they have since separated themselves with that. But just to say, it's just interesting to learn these things about the people in history. Okay. And there's literally so much on this specific subject. You can Google Morihei Ueshiba right wing, and articles, biographies all come up. There's a really great Reddit thread, actually, in the Aikido subreddit that talks specifically about this, and people just sharing links and references to how these teachings of this specific religion informed the teachings of Aikido.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're interested in that, you can deep dive. I did deep dive, and I'm trying to keep us on track here. Anyway, so while Ueshiba lived on the Emoto compound, he became the group's martial arts instructor, where he taught the jiu-jitsu form of his previous master, Takeda. His old master, Takeda, actually visited the compound, but he didn't get along with the religious leader, and so Ueshiba and Takeda basically stopped talking after this. And even though Ueshiba continued to teach the Taekwondo martial art, Taguchi encouraged Ueshiba to create his own style of martial arts. And this is the first time we see Ueshiba get the idea to kind of break off and do his own thing. His prowess as a martial artist increased, and his fame also spread. He was challenged by many established martial artists, some of whom later became his students after he defeated them. In 1925, he was asked to give a demonstration of his art in Tokyo by Admiral Isamu Takashita, and he was then requested to stay in Tokyo and instruct the Imperial Guard in his martial arts. In 1927, he moved his family to Tokyo, and the move allowed him to continue teaching martial arts to politicians, high-ranking military personnel, and members of the imperial household, and suddenly he was teaching some of Japan's most important citizens. This is important because, remember, he's connected to this, ultra, extremist religious sect.
Mm-hmm.
When the government cracked down on those, Ueshiba was like, fuck, I'm going to get arrested and sent to jail just like everybody else. But because he was teaching, let's say, the chief of police in Tokyo, who was also a far-right nationalist,
Mm-hmm.
he got off.
Mm-hmm.
So he was able to basically escape unscathed because of these high-ranking political connections that he had. Anyway, so he, he also became the martial arts instructor at the Imperial Japanese Naval Academy, and he also taught at the Nakano Spy School.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
He also I know, right? He
But
also
probably
became, I feel like that's probably the secret police.
Yeah.
Something like that. He also became a visiting instructor at the Imperial Japanese Army Academy. After being challenged to a general there and defeating him, he then became a visiting instructor at the school. And then and in 1942, he left Tokyo and founded the Aki Shorin Dojo in Iwama, which was where he set up his very first, actually it was his second dojo where he could teach his particular style of martial arts. And there's a lot of conjecture about when his particular brand of martial arts stopped being called what Takeda, his old master, called it, and what we now call it as Aikido.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to trace when exactly that happened, but somewhere in this time period, he started calling his martial arts Aikido. Interestingly, fun fact, after World War II, there was a prohibition on teaching martial arts in Japan, which I thought was interesting. It's because they were occupied by the United States, and you couldn't teach martial arts. But Ueshiba and his students continued to practice in secret at the Iwama dojo. And eventually the ban on martial arts, specifically, definitely Aikido. I'm not sure which other martial arts were lifted, but that was lifted in 1948. In 1969, Ueshiba led his last training session on March 10th, and he was taken to the hospital where he was diagnosed with cancer, liver cancer, and then he died in April of 1969. So he had a long life.
Mm-hmm.
He saw 2 centuries. We also have seen 2 centuries, which is
No big
just
deal.
banana. No big deal. So let's talk a little bit about what Aikido is. Aikido is a comprehensive system of throwing, joint locking, striking, and pinning techniques combined with training in traditional Japanese weapons such as the sword, the staff, and the knife. And now more modern Aikido dojos will also teach you like how to do Aikido with like firearms, for instance. Like many other martial arts disciplines, Aikido emphasizes the development of the internal as well as physical integrity. So it's mental and physical. Let's see. Aikido is not supposed to be just a method of vanquishing or conquering your foe, but it is a means of promoting the positive character of the ideal warrior. And it is a path of self-development and intense physical and spiritual training to perfect human character and develop true wisdom. How is Aikido different from other martial arts? Traditional Aikido is non-competitive. I think that's the biggest distinction. And it does not come through like besting your opponent, but through demonstrating and understanding the basic exercises and techniques of the form, which become more demanding and difficult as you level up, essentially, if you get like a higher and higher belt, which is sort of what it's called. It's called Dan in Aikido, but you might elevate your like first Dan, second Dan, eighth Dan, etc. But you might get like a belt to signify like what Dan you are in. Anyway, so you practice techniques against a variety of... Oh, sorry, hold on. In Aikido, you strive to work in cooperation with your partner by blending with the attack and redirecting its energy back to the attacker.
That'd be nice.
Right. So you practice techniques against kicks, punches, strikes, single hand or two hand grabs from the front or the rear, chokes, multiple person attacks, and attacks with weapons. In all of these, you strive to resolve the conflict in a non-lethal, non-destructive, but effective manner. Techniques may end in joint locks or immobilizations or in dynamic motions where an attacker is thrown forwards or backwards across the mat or through the air. And rather than like linear motions, Aikido is comprised of blending, turning, pivoting, circling, and spiraling. It kind of gives me like a very like water movement. You know, I'm watching Avatar right now, so it gives me like a very like water tribe vibe. Yeah, exactly. Aikido training is both mental and physical, and the emphasizes the ability to relax the mind and body even under the stress of dangerous situations. This is necessary to be able to perform the enter and blend movement. So you're like entering into an attack and blending with your partner to like, you have to be relaxed to be able to do this and like calm. Like if you're going in anxious, there's no way you're blending. There's no blending happening. And Ushiba once said that one, quote, must be willing to receive 99% of an opponent's attack and stare death in the face in order to execute technique without hesitation.
Okay.
I
wish.
If you insist. Aikido was first introduced to the rest of the world in 1951 by Japanese martial artist Minoru Mochizuki when he visited France and demonstrated Aikido techniques to judo students. Another Japanese martial artist, Kenji Tomiki, visited the United States and toured Aikido through 15 of our states. And then Aikido spread from there to the United Kingdom in 1955, Italy in 1964, and Germany in 1965. And the largest Aikido organization in the world is the Akikai Foundation, which apparently is still run by the Ishiba family. There are some incredible sources on Aikido. If you're interested in them, let me know. But the one that I mentioned earlier was really great. And I wish I could have talked more about his history, but honestly, it's dense.
It's
much. Dense, folks. Yeah. I was texting Grace. I was like, my research is 8 pages long. I went back and checked after I sent that text to you. It was 9 pages long.
You're nuts.
I got it down to 4. Though. So I am nuts.
I've been wanting to learn how to do martial arts because I feel like that's something I can actually stick to because my anxiety of like someone attacking me, that'll drive me like, you know.
That's the best motivation. I feel like I was walking down a street in Chicago with you, one of the main streets. We were walking to like a concert or something. We passed that cat cafe. Do you remember? And we saw like a martial arts, like free one lesson. Was that you?
Yeah. And they have free self-defense there. There's other ones closer to us now though. That I think
we should go.
Yeah. I mean, I want to like join one and like get a black belt or the equivalent to whatever one it is.
I'd do it. If you need someone to go with, Or if you're feeling like you'd feel shy if I was there, I
No.
totally get it. But if you need a friend, I'd go.
I would like I could go either way. Like, I'm okay doing things by myself, but if a friend wants to come, that's good too.
I am not okay with doing anything by myself. So if I don't have someone to do something with me, then
It ain't happening.
although, yeah, no, it's not happening. So
Well, watch
That's
out.
it.
Next time you see, check back with Chelsea and I in a year from now. We'll be ripped and we could kick anyone's ass.
Ripped.
Okay?
exactly. I will not be stopped.
All right.
All right. That's a keto. Well, some of it. And the complicated history of its founder.
I'm interested to know, like, the Reddit thread, what type of stuff that's taught in the, in the martial art that is kind of tied into this, like, super conservative alt-right. Or, sorry, not alt-right, just right-wing.
You'll have to just Google Ushiba Morihei, right wing, and it's literally the first topic that comes up on Reddit. Anyway, fun facts.
All right.
I was actually pleasantly surprised though that most of the people in the thread were like, "Yeah, he was fucking right wing. He was problematic." I was like, "Bless up, you never know what you're gonna get on Reddit." So that's all I gotta say.
That's actually shocking for Reddit.
And like just like in a martial arts subreddit too, I was like, I don't know what I'm stepping into here.
You gotta be careful on there.
Yeah, you really do. Anyway, that's a keto, everyone.
My topic came from the Sunday Washington Post by Evan Bernholz, college admissions. And it was 105 down, absinthe flavoring. And the answer was anise.
Oh my God, are you talking about absinthe?
I am. I could have.
I have some absinthe here if we ever want to try it.
Well, I kind of do after doing this topic. I could have sworn you did this topic already. I checked in the drive like 5 times to make sure that you didn't already do it.
Definitely not. Although it's something I probably would have tried
It is
to do.
something, but I got it first. Sorry.
Okay.
All right. Absinthe, aka
Absinthe.
the Green Fairy, associated
Yes.
with debauchery, hallucinations, France.
We're on the topic of France today,
Yes.
folks.
You may have heard this story where Oscar Wilde is drinking absinthe in a bar. At the end of the night, the bartender throws a bucket of water to clean off the stone floor, and Wilde claims that the floor sprouted tulips from the stone, and he could feel them brushing against his legs as he walked out.
Okay.
Good night for Oscar Wilde. But what is absinthe, and does it really deserve its reputation for being, like, way worse than any other liquor?
I need to know because I've had absinthe many a time.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I'm not having the right type, but I've never experienced anything sort of like psychedelic. And trust me, I know what a psychedelic experience should feel like.
Well, you can make your own assumption at the end of this, but
Okay.
absinthe itself is just a spirit with a very high alcohol content. So that's why some people think it's like way worse than anything else. But for example, beer is between 8 and 16 proof. Rum and gin are between 72 and 100 proof. Vodka is between 80 and 195 proof. And then absinthe is between 110 and 144. So it's stronger than other ones, but vodka is, harder alcohol than that in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
And there are 2 kinds of absinthe. There's absinthe verte, which is green, which is like the most famous one. And then you can also get white absinthe called absinthe blanc. So
I think I have white absinthe here.
Ugh, the boring one. No offense.
Sorry.
So it is made from a white grape-based spirit, wormwood, anise, and fennel, hence the licorice flavor.
Hence why I hate it.
Yes, and the green, which makes me think I would like it because I like the taste of licorice. The green absinthe has extra herbs in it. That's what gives it the green color. Otherwise, it would just be white.
Okay.
What about the name? So wormwood is like the main ingredient here, and the scientific name for wormwood is Artemisia absinthium. And the Greeks used to put wormwood leaves in wine or spirits and call it absinthion. And apparently they would give this to like cure medical ailments, including they thought it would like help during childbirth. So
you gotta love it. Fetal alcohol syndrome, anyone?
Well, I think it's just during the birth. So
just during the actual pushing and
a quick little shot of absinthe, baby slides
Got it,
right
okay.
out. And
got it. Well, you probably relax. You're like, okay.
If it's born during Northern Lights, it'll have cross-eyed or cross eyes. Or wasn't that one of the?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that, yeah, I think that's what it was. Or was it curing cross-eyed? It wouldn't be curing because you're just being born. So,
Right.
that's from an earlier episode. I'm not just being weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Looking at these ingredients, you may be wondering, how does this cause hallucinations? Well, wormwood contains a chemical called thujone, and thujone can cause convulsions and even death in high enough dosages. However, someone would have to drink about 3 bottles of absinthe to even start feeling the effects, and they'd probably get alcohol poisoning before they even got to that point.
Very good.
Even so, there's no proof that thujone causes hallucinations. Just, convulsions and death. So
Okay.
why did absinthe get this reputation? Well, let's look back to see how it all started.
Was it a marketing campaign?
It's like a perfect storm type situation.
Got it. Okay.
So absinthe was actually created in Switzerland, not France.
The Swedes.
Yes, but
okay.
right on the border and in like the French-speaking part of Switzerland. So the French still had their little French fingers.
Yes, not the Swedes. The Swiss.
The Swiss, yes.
Excuse me.
This was in the 18th century, so 1700s. And credit is usually given to actually a French doctor named, and this is really his name, Pierre Ordinaire is his name. It's beautiful.
An ordinary guy.
Yep. He was living in Switzerland at the time. So he moved to Switzerland after the French Revolution, and he was a doctor. He created a wormwood concoction that could be used to cure everything from flatulence to anemia. But some people believe that Pierre Ordinaire actually got this idea from someone else, a local herbalist named Marie Henroyd, who called it Marie Henroyd's elixir or Mother Henriette's health elixir. So some people think she was actually the one who decided to put all these herbs together, make little tinctures of it, and then he kind of started making it and giving it to his patients.
Got it.
But like I said earlier, the Greeks and then other cultures had been using wormwood for centuries for medicinal purposes, but Pierre Ordinaire, or Marie Henroyd, made the drink green by mixing in local herbs.
Okay.
Rumor has it that Pierre didn't pass down the recipe until he was on his deathbed. But a couple years after he died, the first absinthe distillery opened in Switzerland. And then in the 1800s, there was a drought in France, which made a bunch of vineyards, lose their vines. And so wine production started declining and absinthe started kind of sneaking its way onto the French drink market.
Got it. Okay.
By the 1830s, French soldiers in Algeria were drinking wormwood cocktails regularly. They drank it to cool fevers and to prevent dysentery. They would mix the wormwood with a little wine to help it go down smoothly, and thus absinthe as a casual beverage was born.
Okay.
Not purely medicinal. In 1840, the soldiers came back to France and they brought the drink with them, and it became extremely popular. They had something called green hour instead of happy hour, where, people drink absinthe. And because of its high alcohol content, the French realized they could get more bang for their buck than other drinks.
There you go.
You can get more alcohol, dilute it a bit, lasts you longer, gets you more drunk.
For sure.
Absinthe is so strong that it's usually mixed with water. But because absinthe and water are different densities, the water must be added steadily and slowly. Eventually, this would lead to the creation of absinthe fountains, which you may have seen. They're kind of elaborate tabletop machines that slowly drip water into a glass of absinthe. And sometimes
gorgeous.
It's over a sugar cube. I know I want one.
Mm-hmm.
But before the fancy contraptions came out, absinthe was for the art girlies, okay? And they had to learn how to slow pour themselves. So that they were like super elitist when all of a sudden people had these little machines.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So Oscar Wilde famously was obsessed with absinthe. He wrote, quote, "A glass of absinthe is as poetical as anything in the world. What difference is there between a glass of absinthe and a sunset?" Ernest Hemingway also loved it, saying, "Absinthe is supposed to rot your brain out, but I don't believe it. It only changes the ideas." He even created his own absinthe cocktail where he combined absinthe and champagne and called it Death in the Afternoon.
OMG.
I got champagne, you got absinthe. Let's do it.
All right, I'll see you later.
There were more artists that famously loved absinthe as well. Vincent van Gogh, Toulouse-Lautrec, Frank Sinatra, Mark Twain, Picasso, etc. Many people believe that the rumors of absinthe causing hallucinations was born from the fact that a lot of these absinthe drinkers were also doing other drugs and drinking out of leaded glasses. So it's possible they were hallucinating, but it's hard to pinpoint it on just this one thing.
Yeah, I also feel like you get a room of like artistes together and they're waxing poetically like about a drink, like Oscar Wilde calling it like it's not any different than a sunset.
Yeah.
Like
That'll get you.
There's going to be some hyperbole or a little bit of exaggeration going on, just to say.
Well, also, who knows, like, at this time, maybe they were hallucinating because they had other, issues that hadn't been diagnosed.
That's
very
true,
popular.
too.
Or very possible.
It's true.
So even though the hipsters loved it, a lot of France saw it as, like, the cause of societal decline. So there's another instance of, like, moral panic, like the pinball machines.
Always moral panic.
A French psychiatrist named Valentine Magnan did a research study at an asylum in Paris to prove that absinthe rotted your brain out. At this time, there was a lot of talk among French nationals of the so-called French race and the, quote, degeneration of French society. Magnan pointed to the increase in diagnosed insanity and declared absinthe the villain responsible for it all because it was very popular at this time. Even though this was probably more due to the fact that more people were getting diagnosed and there was also like this new, modern industrial life, putting strain on people, stressing people out.
Exactly.
But anyway, Magnan created the term absinthism that differentiated itself from alcoholism. So according to him, those who were addicted to specifically absinthe were even sicker and more dangerous to society.
Checks out.
Mm-hmm. But things came to a head in 1905 when a Swiss man named Jean Lanfray murdered his wife and 2 daughters under the influence of absinthe, which he had been drinking all day. So he literally shot his wife and 2 young daughters, and when he came out of it, he supposedly had no recollection of the event. He blamed it on absinthe, but it should be noted that, yes, he was drinking absinthe, but he was also drinking the whole day before and the day of, and it wasn't just absinthe, he also had brandy in his coffee and downed a few bottles of wine. But nevertheless, at his trial, the lawyers declared him a classic case of absinthe madness, and it became known as the absinthe murder. La Gazette de Lausanne, a French-language Swiss newspaper, called it the premier cause of bloodthirsty crime in this century. Became a Swiss national concern. The canton of Vaud banned it in less than a month after Lanfrey's death. Oh, because he also ended his own life after he went to jail.
Okay.
The canton of Geneva, who had its own so-called absinthe murder, followed suit. In 1910, Switzerland declared absinthe illegal. Belgium banned it in 1905, and the Netherlands in 1910. And if the Netherlands is banning it, then
God help you.
It's messed up. In 1912, the U.S. Pure Food Board imposed a ban, calling absinthe, quote, one of the worst enemies of man, and if we keep the people of the United States from becoming slaves to this demon, we will do it. And then, in 1915, it was finally exiled from France, its homeland.
My God. The early 1900s were a crazy, crazy time.
Truly. This ban lasted until the late 80s, when European countries slowly started allowing it again, and it took some countries longer than others. France allowed it to be sold, but only if it was called a wormwood-based spirit, and this law was in place until 2011.
Yeah.
The US had a similar ban that didn't lift until 2007. So, shout out to the UK, who never banned the drink. Though it was never popular there. So, yeah. The Green Fairy lives on. And
they were too busy drinking their warm beer.
Yeah. But what really happens if you drink absinthe now? I'm going to end with a quote from irregardlessmagazine.com. This says, quote, I have found that the secondary effects are what you bring to the glass. If you want to get high, you will. If you want to enter the world of turn-of-the-century bohemian Paris, the Green Fairy will guide you there. Or if you just want to enjoy a fine spirit with peculiar rituals and a mythic legend, then absinthe can provide that for you too. So,
there you go.
The choice
I'm
is
telling
yours.
you, I've had absinthe many a time, and it doesn't. It's like taking a shot.
Yeah, I feel like I've had it a couple times, and I mean, no, I've never like had anything crazy. It's just regular alcohol. I remember one time in Spain having it and then being so hungover the next day. But who knows?
The first time I tried it was in Europe, because I think at the time, no, I was, yes, the first time I had it was when I was in Europe.
For some reason, it just feels like it's illegal in the US, but it wasn't. But it's just not as popular.
Well, it was until 2007, I think.
Yeah, but this was after 2007 when I was in Europe.
But I still think that, like, you're like, oh, it's, there's something mythical about it.
Well, my first introduction to absinthe was Moulin Rouge, when they drink it and the Green Fairy comes out. And
right, yeah.
But it's popular in, other than France, it was also really popular in Spain, who also never banned it, and in Prague. If you ever go to Prague, there's like absinthe stuff everywhere. I remember passing like an absinthe ice cream place.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Oh, I can't believe I was supposed to go to Prague and I didn't go.
I'm sorry. It's a cool place.
I want to go. I want to go.
I've been trying to find like a cool drink order because I don't really like alcohol, but I want to order. And like I was trying to do whiskey, but I just can't get behind it.
Yeah.
Maybe absinthe.
Well,
is that so pretentious to order at a bar though?
I feel like you're going to need a more down-to-earth drink, only because a lot of bars aren't going to have absinthe.
Well, first, I hardly ever go to bars. I don't remember the last time I was at a bar, but
yeah.
I'm picturing like at a cool bar, ordering absinthe, and then people being like, "What are you drinking?" I'm like, "Oh, it's absinthe."
I don't think that's pretentious at all. In fact, I think it's the coolest thing you could possibly do.
Do you think like if I'm going to a wedding soon, do you think they would have it?
No.
Mm.
Is it like a full bar, or are they just doing like
it's at a bar?
cocktails?
It's at a bar, actually.
Right, but is it like a cash bar? Is it a full bar?
I don't know. If they have
if
Malort,
I had that answer,
they should have absinthe.
Then yeah, it's true. I think you should say that to the bartender. Actually,
I will. I'll cause
like,
a huge scene.
Yeah, I'll have a shot of absinthe, please. He's like, "Oh, sorry, ma'am, we don't have absinthe." You're like, "Oh, but you have Malort? Are you telling me that you have Malort, but you're not going to give me absinthe?" And then you start yelling, and then it's like a whole thing.
I'll try it and let you know if I can make it happen.
I
just feel like it's so obnoxious, but
I don't think it is
funny
at all.
though.
Yeah, I think it tells a lot about you.
But I think I would like it because the only other alcohol I semi-like is Fireball because it tastes like cinnamon and it tastes like candy. Yeah. I feel like absinthe kind of tastes like licorice, so I'm like, okay, I can get behind that.
I feel like you can also do absinthe with like, obviously with like a sugar cube. There could be fire involved.
If I'm asking for a sugar cube, that's too much. It's like, okay.
Well, I think.
Well, how would they even give it to me? They need like
there
a slow
are bars. There are bars in Chicago that serve absinthe cocktails that have the little absinthe pourers. Mm-hmm. Like Violet Hour, for instance, had an absinthe cocktail for a while. I don't know if they still do.
But I don't want everyone at the bar drinking absinthe. You know what I mean?
I do know. Maybe you have to bring your own absinthe.
BIOA?
Yeah. And you have like a flask and you pull it out and people are like, "Oh, what are you drinking?" You're like, "Oh, absinthe."
They're like, "Can I take a sip?" And they're like, "What is this?"
It's the Green Fairy.
AKA Green Devil. Just kidding.
Yes.
It's the Green Fairy to me. I don't believe in the...
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what those guys were doing?
Are you kidding me? They're probably like, midday, they're like out painting.
Yeah.
Or writing in the field as one does. They get hungry. They start foraging for mushrooms. They just eat whatever they find on the side of the road, which could be like magic mushrooms. And then they go to the bar. By the time they're at the bar, they have their first glass of absinthe. They're like in the clouds. And they're like, "It's the absinthe. This is like so crazy." Like, or, you get a bunch of like art bros together and you just get them drunk and they're like, they just feed off the energy of like, "Oh my God, this is like crazy. I'm like so drunk right now." All you need is one person to
be like, "Are you guys seeing something?" And everyone's like, "I think I am."
Exactly. Don't trust artists.
I don't. That's a rule I have for myself. But
yeah.
Anyways, that's absinthe. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you. And Grace, I do have absinthe here if you want to give it a try before you go to your wedding. So
maybe
we could do what's that Hemingway cocktail?
Death in the Afternoon.
Like, I don't like absinthe, and I would be sad to ruin a beautiful bottle of champagne.
Well, just absinthe. Try a little bit. I mean, we're not going to mix the whole bottle and call it a day.
That's true. It's true. We'll report back, like we always do, although we never follow up. But
if something interesting happened, we would report back, okay? Sometimes we say we're going to do stuff and we don't, but I'm really committing to this, so.
Yes, she's committing. I could see it. I could see the look of determination in her eyes, so you better trust her. Yeah, this is a lot of fun today on the podcast.
We will talk to everyone next time.
We will.
In the meantime, keep curious out there.
Do it. Try absinthe and report back. Did you hallucinate? Or are you a black belt in Aikido or any other martial arts?
That's all we care about.
Report back.
If you aren't talking to us about those two things, then keep it to yourself.
Get out of the DMs. Yeah, exactly. And until next time, well, Grace already said it, but keep curious, and we'll see you next time. My fine feathered
Oh, wait.
friends.
And then follow us on Twitter at The Good Eve Girls.
Oh, yes. And Instagram at The Good Evening Girls.
And TikTok at The Good Eve Girls, and everything's linked below.
Yes. We'll see you there, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.